and he's just not, because nobody is. Mike Trout by the end of his career might be viewed as one of the great all-around baseball players who ever lived.
I think he will be.
Let's get into the bullpen. We haven't talked a lot about it. It's been interesting. Fernando Rodney settled down and has had an excellent season since his first hiccups. Addison Reed, it seems like if he gets enough rest, he's very effective. Hildenberger. I know internally one of the reasons they went out and got Addison Reed and Rodney was they were afraid, okay, he's kind of a funky right-hander. Maybe the league picks up on him. Maybe he, gets crushed as a young guy because he doesn't know how to adapt to that. So far, he's been pretty good.
He's been very good. He had some early season mechanics issues, got that straightened out so that his fastball sinker was sinking again. It was interesting to see, to watch for whether or not the league would figure it out, and ultimately that sidearm funky changeup that he has, which has such great arm speed and comes from such a weird angle for hitters. I've never seen in my life. I've never seen a changeup like that from a sidearmer ever, and the combination of where his release point is down low, and how good the arm speed is, and how doggone slow that changeup is. I mean, hitters just can't really believe it, and it's been extremely effective. And I wondered what it would be like the second year around, seeing teams for the third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth time, and he's continued to be very good. And I think I actually do think it plays. I don't know if it plays as a closer, but I do think as a late inning guy, when you got a tie game or you've got a lead in the seventh or eighth, as a major bridge to the closer, I think he's very good. And I've talked with Hildenberger a little bit, and I really like his makeup. I just like his mentality.
He's a great guy, and he's just a look in the eye and tell you exactly what's on his mind kind of guy.
Yeah, he is. And I had an interesting conversation with him last homestand, because what I know about pitching is standing at the plate trying to hit it for a long time and trying to analyze what different pitchers were doing to be successful or not. And maybe even more importantly, standing on a shortstop for as long as I did and watching pitchers that I was playing behind try to get hitters out, what they and the catcher were trying to do, what worked, what didn't work, and try to relate that to my experience at the plate, right? So I'm looking and say, okay, here's what this pitcher's trying to do. Here's how that hitter's reacting. How would I have done that? Now I get up, and in thinking about it in both ways, I believe that I learned a fair amount about how to pitch with different stuff. I don't know. I couldn't be a pitching coach in terms of mechanics. Everybody in the world knows. You're flying open with your front shoulder. Okay, well, duh. Yeah. But there's way more to pitching mechanics than that, and I couldn't do that. But I think that I understand a complement of stuff, the menu that a guy's got, and against this particular, how ought he try to get that guy out? I mean, I think I have a fair understanding of that. And I've always thought that when guys were having trouble locating their fastball, throwing breaking balls for a while does a couple of things. It puts that pitch in hitters' minds and gets them off the fastball. But even more importantly, the number one reason is, I think to throw whatever breaking ball a pitcher has, if that guy is having trouble with his fastball, if he'll throw that breaking ball a little bit, it fixes mechanics. A lot like, I think that as a hitter in the game against big league pitching, rather than, I know I'm not using my legs correctly, or my hands are in the wrong spot, or the bat's dragging, whatever the mechanics I'm working on the side, before the game might be. It was more effective. I think it's more effective for a hitter to try to do something positive with the baseball. Right? And we've talked about this before, but rather than saying I'm going to have my hands here, my legs here, my hips here, and all this kind of stuff, I'm going to try and hit, for example, the inside part of the base, this pitch back through the ball to the opposite gap. That's what I'm going to try to do with this. But what happens when you do something like that, something positive with the baseball, is that you watch it better, you watch it longer, and that attempt it gets you into the proper mechanics just because you're trying to do the right kind of things. In like manner, I think that a pitcher throwing breaking balls will help him find the release point on his fastball. Will help. It makes you stay back. All the things that a pitching coach would say mechanically. Stay back. Keep your front shoulder in. Keep your arm up. Tim Laudner, it's great. He says all the time. He says, "I wish I had $1 for every time I'd stand up and go front shoulder in, arm up. Just stay back." Those three things. And rather than try to think about all those three things when you're pitching, just like rather than try to think, 8 things in a golf swing or 3 things when a major league pitcher's throwing a pitch at you, I think trying to do something positive like I'm gonna throw this breaking ball for the outside corner or something positive that you're going to try and do. And so this long harangue is all about the fact that I was talking with I saw Hildenberger in the right outside the clubhouse in last homestand, and I said, "Tell me something. I heard you say your slider has gotten you back into a better where you were messing with your fastball and messing with your changeup a little bit. You started throwing some sliders, and that got you going again mechanically." So I've had this theory for a long time. Tell me what you think about that. And he said, "Yeah, I think that can be true, but with me, I found that it's any one of my 3 pitches. So sometimes it's just the fastball. Sometimes my fastball's working for me, and I get a whole lot of confidence in that, and then the other pitches will come. And sometimes it's the changeup." And he said, "Right now it's the slider." He said, "When I feel a little off, I'll throw some sliders, and that gets me back in." So I still think it's a breaking ball for most pitchers, but I think what he amplified for me is that it's something I can be positive about over here will help me get these other things back. I don't have to just keep knocking my head against the wall trying to find the location on my fastball type of thing.
I had this conversation with Derek Falvey this spring, and he put it in a really interesting way. He said, usually when you give a hitter or a pitcher the right thought or the right mental image, their bodies will organize themselves to make that happen.
Yeah, I think that's true.
And I also translated it. I think one of the reasons that kids can be so good at golf and can hit it a mile with these, fast swings without really thinking much about it is because that's what they're thinking about. They're thinking about hitting it a mile. And their bodies organize themselves to allow them to do that, where someone like me who came to golf late, I thought, okay, I got to keep my right elbow somewhat close to my body. Mm-hmm. You can't think about all those things in the 0.7 seconds that a golf swing takes,
right.
And kids naturally do it, and good athletes naturally do it just by thinking, okay, I'm going to make this happen, and then they find a way to make it happen.
My son's a very good golfer, even though he doesn't play much anymore. When he does play, he's way better than he should be, and better than I am for the most part. And his whole demeanor in golf, his whole life has been, he's never met a shot he didn't think he could pull off. Mm-hmm. Just what you're saying. I mean, he walks up to every shot, and he'll hit 3 woods out of traps to 5 pars, and I will say, well, why don't you just lay up over here? And he goes, what? Because I can hit this one. Because why would I do that? And so it's you can't separate the mental from the physiological in sport, and especially in baseball, it's the most mentally challenging, grueling endeavor that there is, I think.
No, I agree, and that's also what makes it fascinating. I mean, that's why there's so much to talk about in baseball. We could take one tiny little mechanical aspect of one player and talk about it for half an hour, or we can talk about, College World Series, however long ago. I mean, there's always something in baseball.
We had Winfield and Freddie and Vince Scully and Don Drysdale and Carlton Fisk, and we had it was all over the place last week. That's for sure. But you can just to finish up the point, though, you can also in baseball, a guy at the plate, you can almost see physically how much of a mess his mind is.
Oh yeah. Oh God, yes. I mean,
there's it would be a combination Picasso and Salvador Dali painting of a guy's brain when he's at the plate. When you get in these, it would just be demons and mess. If you could do a pictorial of my brain, some of the times I walked up there to the plate, and you can physically see it in people, and nobody is immune. That's what's so amazing. Well, nobody's immune to that.
Look at Sano, all-star home run hitting contest last year, and this year, I mean, he was swinging and missing by 2 feet.
He looked and half swinging and missing by 2 feet. He was an absolute mess, and the game is cruel and evil.
Check out berrycoffee.com for your business needs or any needs really. Check out talknorth.com for our wide array of shows on pretty much every local sport. And we appreciate you listening. We'll talk to you next week.